This is Deep Dive. I'm Liu Yingqi. Despite the location of Shenzhen in Guangdong province, Cantonese has not been the primary language heard on its bustling streets. Yet this dialect becomes increasingly prevalent these days due to a rising influx of travelers and shoppers from the neighboring Special Administrative Region, Hong Kong. Official numbers indicate a significant surge in visits from Hong Kong citizens to the mainland, with a record-breaking 53 million trips in 2023 alone, which translates to an average of 7 visits per person for the SAR with a population of 7.5 million. Some cross the border to get their hair done. Some, though left Hong Kong, are still looking for Hong Kong cuisine. For some others, it may just be a spontaneous weekend getaway. So, what led to this surge of cross-border traveling? Why is this trend grabbing attention in both the mainland and Hong Kong? And what implications does it hold for one of the world's largest Bay Areas? To delve into these questions, I spoke with CGTN reporter Zhu Zhu. This episode is brought to you on Sunday, May the 5th. When you were scouting for Hong Kong visitors in Shenzhen, how were you able to tell who is from Hong Kong and who's not? Because many locals in Shenzhen also supposedly speak the same language, which is Cantonese, as Hong Kong people do. So are there any distinct traits to identify these visitors from Hong Kong?
Well, I would say the most apparent thing is that when you see some people dragging suitcases while shopping, probably
I see.
they are from Hong Kong, yeah. And also they would wear like sports suits and look more casual. And although they both speak Cantonese, but many people in Shenzhen actually still speak Mandarin. So when you see them, especially when they talk in English and then mixed with Cantonese and Mandarin, probably they're from Hong Kong.
So they have a special dressing attire and also the language you can tell. Some of them, they're actually dragging a suitcase to visit Shenzhen. So is visiting Shenzhen and maybe other parts of mainland becoming like a daily or a weekly routine for the Hong Kong residents?
I think maybe I can give you a figure. So last year, on average, each Hong Kong resident went to Shenzhen 7.2 times per year. So that's actually quite a growing figure year by year. So during my trip to Shenzhen in Guangdong province, I've also interviewed many of them in one of the most popular shopping spots for them in Shenzhen. It's called Wang Ti Plaza. And I found that the most common thing that they talked about is that those cheaper prices, of course, especially for services sectors, attracted them to come there. So an owner of a beauty shop owner, he told me that generally their prices are about 1/3 of those with similar services in Hong Kong. The traffic is also quite convenient now because it took only about 1 hour to go to Shenzhen from Hong Kong. And also, they can try many similar cuisines. So some of them even can't be found in Hong Kong, such as those traditional Hong Kong-style pot tea that require high labor costs. So they can have a much wider range of options, and they can experience and try different types of food from all over the country. So all these reasons that they told me attracted them to come to the mainland.
Right, so there are cheaper prices here and perhaps a wider range of options available to the residents from Hong Kong. So why is this cost vastly different on two sides of the border? Is it because of higher rent and labor in Hong Kong?
Yes, higher rent and labors are some of the key reasons because, Hong Kong is known for its extremely high property prices and rental costs. It has been the city with the highest housing prices in the world for 8 consecutive years. So you can imagine that the rental prices are very high there. And also labor costs are also generally higher compared to Chinese mainland. This results in higher prices for goods and services as well. And also there are different government policies and taxation policies, subsidies, social welfare systems, all different. So all of these factors are impacting the cost of living. It's generally higher in Hong Kong compared to Chinese mainland.
Right. So Hong Kong residents, they would visit Shenzhen and perhaps other cities in the mainland in seek of more merchandise and also better services. But under the policy of the one country, two systems, they still need to go through border control when they enter mainland. How do they find the experience of crossing the border? Is it convenient?
Yes, it's quite easy as far as I know. So they would do the baggage check-in, and residents need to show their travel permit to go to the Chinese mainland, and that's pretty much it. Sometimes because there are many people in line, so it may cost them a while to wait in long queues. Generally speaking, it's still quite convenient.
And this growing trend of Hong Kong citizens coming to the mainland is definitely grabbing more attention. And with more people traveling across the border to seek, these products and services, how do the local businesses in Hong Kong react to this trend of Hong Kong people going north?
Yeah, I do see many reports, especially those from Hong Kong's local medias, and many of the local businessmen are actually quite upset that Hong Kong customers are
Mm.
going north because they've lost many
I
of
know.
their consumers. But still,
Understandable.
there are those with high quality services and products still prosper there. So many also see it as a reminder for themselves to keep improving their own services and products to further attract more customers back to Hong Kong. And I've also talked to many Hong Kong local businessmen, and they said that at the same time, they're also going to the Chinese mainland to seek for creative business cooperation models and also to learn from them. And at the same time, to keep improving their services and products to attract their previous original customers. Yeah.
So I could see that this trend could come off as a threat to the Hong Kong businesses because this mobility between the mainland and Hong Kong used to be the other way around. Because in the past, there were more mainland people traveling, visiting Hong Kong for holidays or even just for shopping, like
Yes.
notably baby formulas. And now the roles between the mainland and Hong Kong seem to have reversed. The table has turned. What are the reasons and factors behind this change?
Yeah, you mentioned a very good point because I am also from Guangdong province.
Right?
And as far as I can remember, in the past, Hong Kong was one of the major destinations for Chinese mainland residents, especially like many of my relatives in Guangdong province too, to buy those higher quality products, like you mentioned, for baby formula.
Hmm.
And many moms from Guangdong province would go there maybe on weekends to buy baby formula. However, later Hong Kong began implementing some purchase restrictions. For example, each person is only allowed to carry less than 2 cans of infant formula
Right.
for babies under, I guess it's like a 36 months old. So policies like these are making it more difficult for Chinese mainland consumers to buy those products there. And also in recent years, Hong Kong has experienced a series of social unrest events. This also
Hmm.
has raised many concerns among some of the tourists there about the safety and stability of Hong Kong. And at the same time, with the continued economic growth and accelerated urbanization process in Chinese mainland, the purchasing power and spending habits of those consumers have also changed. So more and more high quality goods and services that previously can only be found in Hong Kong is now also available in the Chinese mainland. So I think these are some of the major factors that have led to the reversal of roles for shopping that you mentioned.
Right. Not even just for Hong Kong residents, just speaking as a person grown up in the mainland, I can definitely feel that the options, the access to merchandises and products have become much more diversified than before. But just going back to this old trend in the past, let's be honest, like especially with the baby formula incident, there were people from Hong Kong that were left a pretty bad impression on mainland and also people coming from here. And now that there's this trend of Hong Kong residents coming to visit the mainland more often, have they developed a different view on the Chinese mainland?
Well, honestly, because I haven't talked to those people in Hong Kong and don't know how most people there see such events, but still, I would talk to many Hong Kong residents traveling to Shenzhen. So they told me that they can see the quality of goods and services being gradually and constantly improved in the Chinese mainland, and they see a much wider range of shopping options for them. So many of them now visit the Chinese mainland very often, and they've also changed their view on the previous, like the quality and also the services in the Chinese mainland. And most of them said they really enjoyed the services provided here, and also they love those products with very high cost effectiveness. So they really enjoyed their journey here in Chinese mainland.
Right, because you gotta see with your own eyes to really experience the difference. And now, with more opportunity for them to see the mainland in person, they might develop a different view. And this growing trend is really a positive indicator for the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area, which has been a national strategy in China for almost 10 years. And
True.
to build this Bay Area in the south of China into a world-class megalopolis. And these days, with more people-to-people exchanges, to what extent is this the result of the integration of the Bay Area? And also, how likely will these positive changes in turn expedite the integration process of this Greater Bay Area?
Yeah, they are now speeding up to build a so-called 1 hour living circle within the Greater Bay Area. So it is now much easier for people to travel and to move around these places, and also for goods to be traded here. Like, just to give you an idea, by April 27th, over 10 million vehicles had passed through the Zhuhai port of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau bridge in Guangdong province. And also in recent days, starting from May the 1st, Guangdong also implemented a set of new measures to facilitate cross-border vehicle management with Hong Kong and Macau. So this also further promotes the integrated development of the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area, such as like they were canceled the verification of tax payment when applying for different types of dual plates. And meanwhile, the Hong Kong SAR government also teamed up with the Chinese mainland to smooth out those entry managements, making it much easier to travel among these places. So all of these measures are really helping Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau to be integrated into a prosperous economic area.
Okay, thank you, Zhu Zhu, for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
On the first day of the just concluded May Day holiday, Hong Kong has registered 800,000 exits and entries at its border. The flow of travelers amounts to more than a tenth of the SAR's entire population, with a significant portion comprising citizens from both the mainland and Hong Kong visiting each other. These records signify a growing mutual interest bridging the border, which will potentially accelerate the integration process that brings together their economic powers. And that also brings us to the end of this episode of Deep Dive. If you enjoyed what you just heard, don't forget to follow us on your podcast platform. Just search for Deep Dive. You can also leave comments to let us know what you want to learn about China and beyond. This episode is brought to you by me, Li Yunqi, and my colleagues Zhang Zhang and Qi Zhi. Special thanks to CGTN reporter Zhu Zhu. I'll see you in the next one.